Hello again from Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We're broadcasting from Rigel Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This show is about guns, related politics, and self-defense issues. Fired Up is on our website, Fired Up with Bob Irwin, and the American Guns and Glory Network, also on YouTube and numerous other media. A new show is posted every Thursday afternoon, roughly at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Our audio feed is rebroadcast for radio listeners on Saturdays at noon on the Nevada Talk Network. You can check out KELY1230.com for a station in your area, about 18 or 19 stations now, AM and FM. You can contact me by sending an email to bob@firedupmail.com. Again, that's bob@firedupmail.com. Or leave a message on my recorder at my office, 702-257-1060. Again, that's 257-1060. The old guy doesn't know his own phone number. If you leave contact information, I will respond by email, text, or telephones. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week in the United States, rarely truthfully covered by any mainstream media. We always present a few for our listeners' education. Most are good shootings, some are questionable, sometimes they're just plain wrong, but they are all educational for firearms owners, those who carry a firearm every day or have a firearm stored in their home. Individual instances are generally adjudicated under local law, so the advice given here might not apply to listeners in different jurisdictions. The important part here, stories are often paraphrased for clarity by translating it from police jargon, lawyer speak, or regional accents into more or less standard English. The incidents are as reported, except the names of the participants are omitted. This first story is pure politics. Michael Bloomberg, as most listeners have heard by now, has announced he is running for President of the United States. He is the original founder of every firearms anti-gun group and one of the wealthiest men in the world with a net worth just over $55 billion. His organization, Everytown for Gun Safety, had revenues last year, according to his 1990 tax returns, of $69.5 million. He has a 501c4, if you want to look that up, which focuses on political initiatives. It received $66 million in that last year in grants and contributions. A source said the $38 million of that, listed as anonymous donations in the document, came from Bloomberg himself. Combined with their other nonprofit, Everytown for Gun Safety Support Fund, the organization as a whole raised over $106 million. Mayor Bloomberg can easily self-fund his entire presidential campaign without any donations, and repeatedly made his Second Amendment views the center of his pieces on the issues. He had New York PD run stings in other states of citizens suspected of allowing firearms purchases to make their way into New York City. He then charged them with crimes in his city courts. Imagine when he is President of the United States, that pattern could become national, using the FBI and ATF as his personal police force. He has advocated for confiscation of all semi-auto rifles and detachable magazine, any magazines above 10 rounds, and all handguns. The stings I know about, when I was operating the gun store on Tropicana, we had a sting which turned out to be from Bloomberg, from the New York PD. When I researched it to see who was trying to pull on my chain, I was able to discover where it came from. because ATF and locals and nobody knew about the sting. And they did everything in the world they could do to get me to commit to selling guns to someone, the guy at my counter, who told me he was going to export them to New York City. Loud and clear, he told me that. And obviously, at some point, even my little pea brain, I recognized that as a sting. But even with my reputation at the time of being against gun trafficking, he went off on me too. So I take this kind of personal. While you're absorbing all of that information, let me give you some brief words from some of our friends and associates. Don't go away. Freestyle Martial Arts, located at Jones and Russell here in Las Vegas. You can reach them at 702-551-9009. That's 702-551-9009. CCS Gunsmithing. Chris Eifelt, the man who does all the NRA help, he's at 2216 South Rainbow Boulevard near Sahara. He can be reached at 702-365-1732. Once again, 702-365-1732. Jerry Creed, a trust attorney. If you have a firearms trust or need one, this is your guy. You can reach Jerry at 702-806-7777. That is 702-806-7777. CCW Maggie is found all over the internet. You can reach her by phone at 702-375-5900. That's 702-375-5900. All sorts of firearms training, ladies only classes. She is the best of the best. Call CCW Maggie. And we are back. This story comes from KPIX TV 5, reported on the 25th of this month, November 25th this year, in Oakland, California. A robbery happened at a coin exchange business in the 3300 block of Grand Avenue just before 10 a.m. in the morning. The business owner said he wasn't really paying attention when he buzzed two men wearing masks into his coin shop. I would guess that covers not paying attention. He said, well, they came in, they had their guns pulled out, they walked in and ordered me to get down on the floor face down. His store safe was open, and the robbers filled a bag with about 100 pounds of rare silver coins. Then they ran out of the store. Then the owner said something inside him just snapped. After they were gone, I realized what had just happened. I grabbed my gun and went after them. I saw one of the robbers still on the street around the corner. I told him, hey, stop. I had my gun and pointed it at him, and he turned around and shot at me. So I shot at him twice. Then the second robber drove up in a car. Apparently he'd gone and got to get the car for the getaway. The second robber drives up in the car, and he started shooting at the owner. He's shooting at me, and I shot him, the owner said. I hit his car. I don't know what I hit. I'm told that I hit the window next to me, and he hit somebody. Then the driver ran over somebody or bumped into somebody. The crooks dropped the bag of coins and took off. The owner, who was not injured, could not carry that heavy bag, so he dragged it back to the store and called police. A neighbor who lives next door to the man who was shot said he got hit in the leg and will be okay. Police say he was listed in stable condition at a local hospital. Oakland police officer Jonna Watson said it's too early to tell if the owner will face charges, but she has a message to any citizen who decides to take matters into their own hands. It's that everyone's safety is important, said Watson. Anytime you're going to take action, if you are the victim of a crime, think about our community, our neighborhood, and our children, residents who are around us. She's obviously concerned about bullet striking someone else. The store owner is lucky to be alive, in my opinion. Chasing down fleeing criminals is almost always a really bad idea. In California, it's even a worse idea. I can't imagine where this guy is going, but it sounds from the comments of the officers that he will be charged, likely charged with a crime here. And I understand that he shouldn't be firing his gun at fleeing people. We all know that is rule 1. If you're not in danger at the moment, don't shoot. And once again, we're going to break for a brief word from some of our friends and associates. Don't go away. Hi, I'm Bob Irwin, and I get to do my own commercial. The short version is I've had 50 years experience in firearms, firearm repair, firearm design, 30,000 CCW holders I personally taught, 20,000 security officers, etc. Taught in 28 police academies, firearms and use force. I've also appeared more than 200 times in gun-related cases in federal, state, and local court. I wrote this book, The Reality of Armed Self-Defense, because it answers virtually all the questions that I get every time I talk to people, answers questions that come in the emails. It will tell you what you need to know to keep yourself out of prison if you get involved in a self-defense shooting case, keep from losing your house in a civil lawsuit. There are lots of things I've learned over these years and watched people make a lot of mistakes. This book will save you a lot. If you purchase one, read through it, I'm sure you will find it enlightening. And it'll save me a lot of time on these shows trying to explain to people what they did wrong and what they shouldn't have done and so forth and so on. So you can buy it by sending me the funds at the address below, bob@firedupmail.com, or leave a message on my phone number there, which is 702-257-1060. I will return your calls and tell you where to mail the money and so forth and so on. They're available on my website also, which is attached to this regular show. Cost is $15. I said add for postage if you live outside the immediate 50 states, and I will get it to you first class mail. Thank you for listening. This book will save you a lot of hassle. Thanks. This next story comes to us from KTUL ABC TV 8 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Police say the woman that reported her ex-boyfriend had been threatening her via text messages for several days. He then confronted her Tuesday afternoon in the courtyard of her residence, which is at the Sierra Point Apartments on South 107th East Avenue. Picturesque. The woman reported that the suspect rode up on a bicycle and threatened her. He was holding a knife. She then fired several rounds in his direction. The ex-boyfriend then got back on his bicycle and rode away. Investigators are not positive that he was injured. A report was taken for investigation into domestic violence, including assault with a deadly weapon. As the woman had filed 11 reports of domestic violence involving this individual over the past year, police are viewing this as an act of self-defense, at least in the preliminary look at this. Without the history of these reports and the restraining orders, this might be viewed as a questionable shooting. If possible, always keep the authorities or your attorney or your best friend or all of them informed of any threats. The history here is going to save her bacon. From the description the police are using, they seem to be predisposed to see this as a self-defense case. And of course, more details could come out. But the fact that she had reported these incidents to the police department, filed numerous restraining orders that he was now violating. If you shoot at an antagonist who has come to your place of residence and been barred from doing that by numerous restraining orders, it puts the onus on you being the victim and the shooting being valid. So this is the lesson to be learned here. Keep the police, your attorney, whoever, informed. If you're afraid to do any of that, keep a diary with dates and times and hide it someplace so that you have a reference point you can go back to, because you won't remember all 11 instances or what date they were, and the opponent will say, well, my friend can verify I wasn't even in town, and so forth. So that way you have accurate records for the investigators to look at to help prove you are innocent of a crime. We'll be right back after these messages. Attorney Donald J. Green, a common guest of mine on Fired Up. He can be reached at 702-409-8239. He specializes in gun case litigation. He is your man, Don Green, 702-409-8239. At Ricardo's Restaurant, where you'll usually find me eating lunch every day if I could get there, they're at the corner of Flamingo and Decatur here in Las Vegas. You can reach them at 702-227-9100. That's 702-227-9100. And Battlefield Vegas, my new kind of home for this show. They're on Circus Circus Drive, directly behind the Circus Circus Hotel and Casino. You can find them there with CCW classes and an amazing place for gun rentals, everything you could possibly imagine. Check out, if you're in town as a tourist, check out battlefieldvegas.com. This next story is from WKRN TV, reported November 25th this year, just a week or so ago from doing this show. Tennessee officers responded around 2:30 in the morning, got the time, to an armed robbery on Elkhart Drive near Antioch Pike. That's the name of the street. The victim told responding officers he was getting out of his vehicle when two people drove up. He's parking. Two people drove up and called out his name and pointed a weapon at him, presumably a firearm. The intended victim handed over his wallet and his phone. Then at that moment, he pulled out his gun and fired several gunshots at the robbers, according to the police reports. The robbers reportedly fled in a smaller black SUV, but it was not clear if either of them had been hit by the intended victim's gunfire. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers in their area. It's area code 615-74-CRIME. 615-74-CRIME. This is a really risky move to draw your firearm at someone who is pointing a gun at you already. We have addressed this tactically in a couple of shows. If your draw is very smooth and very well practiced, you have about a half a second before he realizes you're shooting at him. If you fumble your draw, you lose. his reaction speed is going to be based on his age and all sorts of things. But what I'm saying here, you've got a little dwell time that you will be able to fire before he fires. Then we get back to the issue of, is he going to fire at you anyway, even though he's shot? Most people, if they're pointing their gun at you and they have their finger on the trigger, you've got this 2-second leeway to get a round off. But let's suppose you are successful in hitting him. This isn't television where he's going to immediately drop, mumble something about tell Frida I loved her, and have blood come out of his mouth no matter where you hit him. This is real life. People often don't realize they've been hit. Their reaction will be their startle reflex. One is to grasp their hands. If he's got his finger on the trigger, he is going to shoot you too. If you both are killed, that's not winning. Winning is not getting hit. So, if you're going to try something this radical of firing a gun at someone who's already pumped up in the midst of a criminal act and he's shooting at you, be aware you're very likely to get shot also. This is really not recommended. Otherwise, you're going to lose your money wad, your wallet, and your cell phone, and that's a lot easier to replace than the medical costs and so forth. Who are you going to sue to pay your medical bills? Robbers don't have any money. There's nobody to sue. The guy who shot you is a criminal. He's going to prison. You can, deduct money from his food account in jail. This is absolutely a no-win situation. It is strongly not recommended. If you are convinced he's going to shoot you, you got to do what you got to do and take your chances. But this is not a case that lends itself to a good solution. You can check out our recent shows at bob@firedupmail.com. I'm sorry, Bob. Whew. You can check out our recent shows at firedupwithboberwin.com. Am I having a bad day? It contains several recent episodes. 18 or 19 are up there now. Please patronize our friends and supporters. We'll be back next Thursday on our website, firedupwithboberwin.com, on YouTube at the American Guns and Glory Network, and numerous other media, television, and radio stations. When watching any media, just click on subscribe and new shows will be sent to your computer or phone automatically. There'll be a button on there when you find Fired Up with Bob Irwin. Just touch subscribe. We will annoy you with another email, another show every Thursday around 5 p.m. Pacific. Please forward these broadcasts to your friends. And our logo merchandise we used to sell online here. Shirts and books and whatnot are available at Battlefield Vegas. It's just behind Circus Circus on the Las Vegas Strip. An absolute amazing place. If you're coming to Vegas and have any interest in guns, you have got to go to Battlefield Vegas. Check out battlefieldvegas.com. Remember, the audio portion is repeated on the Nevada Talk Network all across Nevada. You can check out the stations at KELY1230.com. Thanks for supporting Fired Up. We will see you again next week.